Bowl, I went to Frost, I went to Parkside Middle School, and I graduated from Jackson High with the class of 2001. And as I was reflecting on the topic today of We Shall Overcome, it took me back to an area of my life where I had to overcome as I was growing and building my career as a professional. And that area was imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is something that many people deal with, whether they share it or not. It's defined as doubting your skills, your talents, and your accomplishments, overriding external competencies that you display because you're in your head of what you think that you're not. Today I want to share a little bit about my professional journey and the lessons that I've learned to help me become an overcomer. My imposter syndrome first started when I graduated from college. When I graduated from college, I was so excited to start the world. I was officially an adult, and so I was ready to take on building my career and achieving all of my dreams. Before I graduated college, I had actually secured a job at Experience Grand Rapids. So I was already, had my ego inflated because I was like, I got a job. And it was hard back then to get a job definitely not before you graduated, but to have it before you graduated ready to go. Once you walked across the stage, it was a big deal for me. And so once I got on that job is where life got real for me. It was when I first encountered imposter syndrome. And I quickly started to notice that I wasn't necessarily like everyone else that was in that office space. And so I started to question if I measured up. I overanalyzed my work. I questioned the way that I talked. I questioned my differences. I truly wondered if I belonged in the environment that I was in. And I was feeling pretty insecure, even though I was smiling on the outside. On the inside, there was some things that I was feeling as a young professional just starting my career and being in a space that was different from what I was used to. So I always encourage people, check on strong people who are smiling because you never know what they're going through. However, I kept focused and I said, you know what, I'm going to move forward and I got to keep reaching my goals. And so as my confidence grew, I was able to show proofs of my talent. And after a couple years at being at the Experience Grand Rapids, I transitioned to the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce. And at the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce, I took on a role of diversity program coordinator, so I worked in DEI. And I just want to acknowledge everyone who works in DEI because it's a rewarding space to work in, but it's not always the easiest. And so I worked in DEI and I loved working in that space. We were hosting different multicultural workshops and helping businesses grow and expand and things like that. So it was great and really focusing on talent development. But while I was in the DEI space, I started doing my own marketing for the department. And the president and the leaders at that organization started to take notice of what I was doing. And they asked me if I would take on a special project to help them improve their overall chamber marketing. And at that time, the chamber didn't have a marketing department, so it was kind of like Wild Wild West in the organization. Everybody was doing their own thing. And so they saw what I was doing, and so they said, hey, can you help us? I said, of course, even though I didn't really know what I was doing, I'm going to help. And so that work led to me being promoted from DEI program coordinator to marketing director. And I established the first marketing department for the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce. And in addition to establishing that, they wanted me to put together all the processes and the systems and all those different things. And that's where imposter syndrome started to creep in again. One, I had never started a department before, so didn't really know what I was doing, but I was an ambitious young professional that was early in my career, so I had the yes attitude, even though I was going to figure it out as I went. But with that, I was scared. And even though I had the skills and the abilities to do what the organization needed from me, there was still some feelings of insecurity that was taking place. I had to push past resistance that I faced within the organization when people didn't want to change. And I had to show them that where we're going is where we need to be and just watch me work and watch the teamwork that I was building. And so as a result of that, we built the department. The department went well. We started to get industry awards for the work that we were doing in our marketing. And that led to me further propelling my career. I was promoted from marketing director to vice president of marketing and communications for the chamber. And I was one of the youngest people on their executive leadership team. And I also started to get recognized in the community. That's where the 40 Under 40 Award started to come in. And you would think that I should be excited about what's happening and I'm showing what I can do and there's measurable results. But on the inside, I was still struggling with that imposter syndrome. I always felt like I had to work harder. I had to show that I deserved to have a seat at the table, that I deserved to be where I was. And so that was always in the back of my mind as I was climbing and as I was showing. And what happened with that is I started to neglect other areas because I was so focused on work. Because I wanted to show that you guys made the right choice. My career continued so the more that I worked, the more my career grew. And as my career grew and I started to expand my network in the community that I was in, I got recruited to go into the corporate space. The corporate space was something that was on my professional bucket list. It was something that I always wanted to do. So when Amway recruited me, Amway is a global company, when they recruited me to come work for them as a brand manager, of course, I said yes. And so I went to go work at Amway, and at Amway it was an amazing opportunity because it really got to expand the way that I think. I got to grow my skills and my talent, and then I also got to work with other international coworkers. I got to travel around the world, and so I got to do things that I had never experienced before, which was something that I really appreciated. The work that I was doing, so I was as a brand manager. I launched a lot of their top tier beauty makeup product line. So I was a beauty brand girl, and I launched skincare and makeup products. And my work was getting recognized by leadership at Amway. And I was put on the Amway's top talent list. And so the top talent is where they take some of what they call the best and the brightest in the company, and they groom you and they develop you. So I was put on the top talent. And as a result of being on the top talent, I went through their global leadership program. So I was trained how to be a global leader, how to lead global teams. And again, it was something that I was thankful for. I appreciated the opportunity. But the insecurity and the imposter syndrome that I dealt with was still there. Because now I'm in bigger spaces, I'm doing bigger projects, managing bigger budgets, but I was oftentimes one of the only in the room. And so that pressure of being one of the only in the room weighed on me heavy because I felt like I need to show why I deserve to be here. I want to show that you made the right choice of hiring me to do the work that I'm doing. My work as a brand manager, it was going well, and then they tapped me again and said, we want you to take over a new area of Amway. Or no, it wasn't a new area, but to grow an area of Amway. And so I was promoted to lead the global corporate social responsibility team. And so I was responsible for overseeing all of the company's philanthropy and giving. And it was such an amazing opportunity to only be at the company for 5 years and be at a place to fast track my career and to be able to have those experiences. But again, it still was in the back of my mind. Now I have to work harder. Now I have to do more to show that you made the right choice by investing in me. Last year, with that too, when I looked at the expectations, a lot of the times the expectations weren't because other people were putting it on me. It was because of the expectations I put on myself. So in my head, there was things within me that said, you got here, now you have to show. People are expecting different things, and some of it could have been true, but a lot of it was me feeling like I had to show why I was here. And that led to burnout, as you can imagine, because I was overworking myself. And even though I was delivering favorable results, so the results was coming, and so more opportunities came, but I was getting burnt out. So last year I made the decision that I was going to leave corporate and start my own marketing and communications agency. And this was a turning point for me. This was a really pivotal time in my career because I went into becoming an entrepreneur with a different mindset. And there were 3 personal goals that I set out for myself as I was starting my business. One, I was going to take my skills and the talents that I have built over the years, and I was going to give those skills to businesses and organizations that needed help and that I was aligned with their mission and their vision. The second thing was that I was going to build an intentionally diverse team of creatives that come from different backgrounds, different cultures, and that came from different thought perspectives. And I was going to give businesses what I knew that they needed in their organizations through my agency. And then I also made a personal goal that I was going to confront imposter syndrome head on. I wasn't going to go into this next phase of my career of entrepreneurship questioning and doubting who I was and what I can do. And so there are 5 strategies that I embrace that I want to briefly share with you that helped me overcome. The first strategy was recognize and acknowledge your achievements. Take time to acknowledge your accomplishments and recognize your skills and abilities. It's important to keep record of what you're doing, whether it's large or whether it's small. And when you have those feelings of self-doubt, that's when you pull those out. That's when you pull out your wins and say, yeah, I did this. I did that. And remind yourself who you are. The second strategy that I use is I reframe negative self-talk. I would encourage everybody to challenge negative thoughts and self-doubt by replacing them with positivity and realistic affirmations. Practice self-compassion and remind yourself that there are no perfect people. Everybody makes mistakes, and perfectionism is not the requirement to be successful. And so, when you make a mistake or if you fail, use that as opportunities to learn and grow. The third strategy that I learned is seek support and mentorship. Surround yourself with a supportive network of friends and colleagues and mentors who can provide guidance to you and that can help you and encourage you when you need it. Share your feelings of struggles or doubt or imposter syndrome when they come up, and have those people in your life that can speak life into you and give you that positive perspective that you may need that you're missing. The fourth strategy that I embraced was set realistic goals and expectations. Avoid setting excessively high standards for yourself. Now, this is coming from somebody who my life philosophy is excellence is the standard, not the goal. But oftentimes when you're competing, you're not competing with other people, you're competing with yourself. So you need to be able to set those expectations and make sure that they're realistic. And it's okay to break up your goals and the tasks that you're doing into smaller, achievable steps that lead into something bigger, and celebrate the wins along the way. Along with that, it's important to emphasize the growth and the learning rather than solely focusing on outcomes. So often we're so focused on what we're going to deliver and what we're going to do that we miss the path of how we're learning, how we're growing, what we can apply to other things. And so outcomes are great, but the growth that comes from the journey is invaluable. And the fifth strategy that I learned was embrace constructive feedback. And this can be a hard one, especially if you deal with self-doubt or you question yourself. But view feedback as an opportunity to grow rather than a confirmation of your inadequacies. Understand that receiving feedback is a normal part of your professional journey, and use it to improve your skills. Use it as a way that you can grow and that you can evolve. And I want to wrap up with this, because as I was reflecting on this day and I was thinking about the late great Dr. Martin Luther King, I thought about who he was as a person. When we think of Dr. King, we see the man that was doing all these amazing things, but we oftentimes don't think about the feelings that he had as a real person. And I can imagine there were times where Dr. King did not feel ready when he had people encouraging him to be a voice for a nation of people who felt voiceless. I can imagine he had to carry weight based off the responsibilities that was placed ahead of him. The weight was on his shoulder and it was heavy. I'm sure that a little fear and nervousness crept up when he got ready to lead the march in Washington and speak to a crowd of more than 250,000 people on the steps of Lincoln Memorial about the dream he had for jobs and freedom. I'm sure he had feelings of why me at the time when he had to lead the Montgomery City bus boycott and lead a peaceful fight against injustice. But what I love about Dr. King is that he decided to push forward. He set his fears that he may have had aside, whether he told people or kept it within, he pushed it aside. And because of his decision, we are all here together in this room today talking about this amazing man. I want to leave you with words of the late, great Dr. King. I want to leave you with this quote. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the times of challenge. I want to encourage everyone in this room who may be struggling with imposter syndrome, who may feel like, do I have what it takes to do what I've been called to do? Can I truly live out on purpose? I want to encourage all of you who are in that space to embrace the greatness that's inside of you, because you can do it. Thank you.